Greetings, welcome to Overgrove episode 3. Today, Boss Beardman and myself will be discussing the 110 questions asked to Overwatch's Jeff Kaplan by Gameinformer, and potential changes to the seasonal event calendar in Overwatch. Let's get started.
So, recently in Gameinformer.com, the wonderful and spectacular Jeff Kaplan did 110 rapid-fire questions with Gameinformer. I bet we're going to have so much information from this, nothing is going to be left up to the imagination.
Well, we know that Blizzard like to keep things under wraps that they're not too sure about. He did give us some things, some interesting tidbits, but no major revelations by the looks of it. Just some sort of hints here and there about what's going to happen and confirming the direction that they're going.
So we have Overwatch 2 is going to be set exactly 1 year after Recall. Now, what exactly is Recall?
Recall is the animated short featuring Winston, where he pushes the button to recall all the Overwatch agents.
Okay, so that's when he's looking and he's saying to himself, will I, won't I, should I press it? And he does.
Overwatch 2 is set 1 year after that, so presumably it took them 1 year to all get together, or at least mobilize to the point where they could all suddenly turn up at the same place in Paris.
Many of the heroes will be involved in the story, but not necessarily all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it would be difficult to involve every single hero unless the campaign is very, very chunky. It's possible that they will eventually get around to featuring everybody because everyone has a favorite hero and every hero is a favorite of someone. So it would make sense for them to eventually get around to everybody, but by the sounds of it, they may not have plans for all of them yet, although they're not going to rule that out because they don't know.
I would, I mentioned this, or we talked about this earlier, about the future-proofing of the franchise. They could release the game, Overwatch 2, with, certain heroes and then a DLC later on, something that you pick up for, $10, or maybe they just do a patch and they go, here's, some more story with some other heroes.
I don't see them adding story DLC in a more traditional way. Blizzard seem to like giving their content out for free to allow people to experience it as much as they can. They'll probably continue to do the same sort of model that they've done with Overwatch 1, unless they want to change things up a bit. They have said they're not too sure of what business model they're going to use for Overwatch 2 yet. And that's the wise thing to do, I think. Just tell people you're not sure until you are, rather than speculating on what we might be considering, because then people might have false expectations going in.
Bastion! He specifically said that Bastion plays an important role in Overwatch 2. Yeah, the cinema with Bastion, one where he basically is activated and he's making his way toward the city. I don't know when that happens. Maybe that happens during Recall?
From what I understand is that all the animated shorts we've seen so far are in that year in between Recall and the Overwatch 2 cinematic.
Oh.
So all of them are the story between the two. And the role that Bastion could play is a way of trying to be a force for peace between humans and Omnics, because he's a friendly Omnic and by the sounds of it has made friends of Torbjorn, who is very anti-Omnic in general.
Yeah. That's true.
And Bastion could play a big role in trying to secure peace between humans and Omnics in the growing tensions.
Oh, so that would be a pretty important role. That would be huge. The Overwatch team, they are interested in cross-play and cross-progression across platforms, and they are exploring the options. With the release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, it's cross-platform, and I believe moving forward, you're going to see a lot more console and PC games that are going to be cross-platform. Now, it says cross-progression across platforms. I assume that means account-wide. So if I have an account on console and an account on PC, that level of cross-progression?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
That would be nice if they could arrange it, but it is technically challenging. And it's whether they have the time alongside all the other development, whether they can make that reality for launch, or whether that'll be something later down the line.
The crossplay is interesting because, as I understand, there are pretty big differences between the console version and the PC version. For example, Symmetra's turrets and Torb's turrets, they do less damage because your reaction time on a console is slower than a mouse and keyboard. So they've had to reduce the damage of those things, allowing you to basically destroy the turret or destroy the sentry before it kills you. I don't know. Maybe there's a way for them to do that.
Yeah, it'll be a difficult challenge to be sure. I know the latest Modern Warfare game has had issues trying to balance crossplay between console and PC users. I was speaking to someone who was playing it recently. They were on PC and a friend of theirs was on console, and the friend would go round using the inbuilt aim assist would just headshot people constantly because the aim assist would just snap to people's heads as soon as he aimed vaguely at them, whereas the person on PC had to manually aim all the time, so their KDs were vastly different. It's not easy to balance if you want people to play together. And I anticipate if Blizzard do want to do crossplay between console and PC, they'll keep the competitive modes separate.
They are not sure if the progression system will be in the story missions. The progression system, are they referring to the talent system?
The progression system will be in the hero mode, but they're not sure if it fits within the story mode. They said they put it in there for the sake of the demo at BlizzCon, and they like how it feels, but they're not sure if they can make it work within the story mission mode.
Overwatch 2's story length is not set yet, still being worked on. So we know that's going to take place 1 year after Recall. I'm sure they've got the base story set up, but the total length of, let's say, normally when I look at a game, I say, well, how many hours does it take to complete it? Is it 25? Is it 40 hours? They don't have that worked out yet.
No, and it makes sense. They want to make sure that the story they make is top quality, and until they've worked on it and solidified everything, they're not sure exactly how long it's going to last. They probably have a length in mind, and they'll work towards that, but it's probably a fairly wide margin because they have an eye for quality, and they don't want to put anything in there just to pad the length if it's not up to Blizzard standard.
And they are aware that there are people out there, you may not believe it, who enjoy the archive events, and they want to make them viable in Overwatch 2. The archive events being the one where you select from a select of heroes, and you go off and you accomplish a mission. And those are also the events that have those really unique interactions between the heroes.
Yeah, indeed. And with the systems they're coming up with Overwatch 2, they can definitely make the archives events really something special. Since the story mode for Overwatch 2 will be current timeline, archives event will be past timeline.
Right.
So it'll just be more missions, but in a past rather than the present, which is what they have been doing. And with the Overwatch 2 systems that they're developing, they can make them a whole lot better, and that's exciting.
We are going to learn a lot more about Echo in the road leading to Overwatch 2.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's specified that exactly. I don't exactly know what it means, whether it means we're getting Echo as a hero, or more animated shorts, or comics, or who knows, really. We'll find out in the coming months.
Here is something that stood out for me. Overwatch 1 players in a match with Overwatch 2 players will see the updated hero designs, but can't select them for themselves. Now, I thought that Overwatch 1 was going to get the graphical overhaul that Overwatch 2 was going to get. Is this saying that Overwatch 1 is not going to get the graphical overhaul?
I'm not sure exactly. It's possible that Overwatch 1 will get some form of engine update, but the cosmetics from Overwatch 2 will only be available in Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 1 players in a match with Overwatch 2 players will see the updated hero design. So if I've got Overwatch 2, you have Overwatch 1, I'm running around as Reinhardt, you're going to see that really cool new hero design, but the Overwatch 1 will not be able to select them for themselves. So you believe that that is just the cosmetic or also the hero design? It'll
be the cosmetic aspect of it. It's partially, I suspect, a strategy to encourage people to move over to Overwatch 2, although Overwatch 2 will be just the Overwatch that exists eventually once the clients merge. So we'll see what exactly that means.
Overwatch 2 PvE modes will have a difficulty setting. So I'll say easy, normal, difficult, and then Tree Boy Day. Because for those people who want to take things to the limit, ride the razor's edge, and just go as hard as they could to get that achievement.
They've had a lot of success with difficulty with the Archives missions and Jungenstein's Revenge, for example. People are enjoying the various difficulty levels they can play. It makes a lot of sense to do that, rather than have something like adaptive AI that scales its difficulty dynamically with the heroes or the players that are playing the game mode. Having set difficulties means you know what to expect, and if you're an achievement hunter, you know how hard you need to try to achieve what you want to achieve. It also gives you more opportunities to earn more cosmetics, because you've got all the different difficulties, so you can have lots of cosmetics for each difficulty.
And that will give people who are especially playing in co-op with your friends something to work toward. Like, we know we got to keep working on this, because when we get to this point or the difficulty, we might have a chance of getting that cosmetic. Even though they haven't specifically said it, they're going to have something like that. This is Overwatch. They're going to have some level of cosmetic reward, I would think. In regards to loot boxes, they are currently exploring a number of different business models for Overwatch 2, but they have not finalized anything yet. Maybe they're going to do something different than what Overwatch 1 has with loot boxes. I don't know if they're going to change the whole setup.
They're really not sure what they want to do yet. I'm sure they'll tell us when they are ready.
There is a little controversy with loot boxes going around, especially in the EU and other countries, where they're saying that loot boxes is to the point of being gambling. Here, there are some states that are looking at that as saying that loot boxes is a type of gambling and should be controlled under some law, but I don't know if they're going to move away with it. I know that Call of Duty Modern Warfare doesn't have loot boxes. They said they were not going to have any. I don't think that they're going to move away from it, but they might do something else with it. The leveling system is something they understand a lot of players take pride in, and they want to acknowledge it in Overwatch 2. Now, this seems to be right up your alley.
I'm not sure exactly what they want to do with leveling. It will entirely depend on what the business model is, because the leveling system is directly tied to the loot box system, which is part of their business model. So they can't say for sure whether there will be a leveling system in Overwatch 2, because if there isn't a loot box system, there might not be a need for a leveling system either. So we'll have to see what they come up with when we learn more about Overwatch 2, whether that be the beta or just more information.
I think this is a really good example to people who are unfamiliar with the amount of logistics that comes along with designing a new game. There's a lot of stuff under the hood other than just the game itself. You have all the logistics of your loot boxes, your transactions, your leveling, the transferring of everything over. And they literally, all these men and women have to sit down around a table, and they literally have to go down a check and say, what are we going to do? What are we not going to do? Well, if we're not going to do this, what are we going to do to replace it? It takes a lot of work, and that takes a lot of time.
Indeed. And they have to make the right decisions. Going in with loot boxes in the current climate might not be the best choice. So they might be exploring ways of maintaining the same revenue stream without resorting to what some people see as gambling mechanics.
Right.
So they're reviewing the options carefully, and I'm glad to hear that they are thinking about it seriously.
Now, this little tidbit for all the Overwatch and Overwatch 2 people out there. They're going to start rethinking the event calendar. It seems that Jeff wants you to know that they possibly maybe, retiring some of the current events. And that he believes, Jeff believes, Overwatch 2 should bring in more new events. Redesigning or designing them is referring to Sid Meier's rule of thirds. We have 1/3 new, 1/3 the same, and 1/3 improved.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with old events that they want to retire, whether they allow people to get those cosmetics going forward, or whether they're retired from circulation, basically. So it's possible if they do get rid of events, then any cosmetics tied to those events are unavailable for anyone that hasn't got them.
Every single skin going back to the beta I have on one account, but on my other account, I barely have any skins. I have the worst luck with loot boxes. Whereas my main account, which has all the skins, I get the epic and these rare skins repeatedly. My alt account, not so much. So if they did do something like that, I don't know. I might have to try even harder to get some of these event skins.
I think the best policy going forward for now, until we know more, is just to try our hardest to get all the cosmetics from the events going forward.
Right.
Because they might be the last time they turn up. I don't see them taking away the winter event or the Halloween event. Those two are probably definitely staying. But we'll see. They've got a lot of wiggle room in terms of what they can do with events, and we might see some differences out there. I was looking in my Overwatch art book yesterday, and I saw a page of Valentine's sprays that I'd never seen before, that has just never been added to the game. So it's clear they've got a lot of ideas, and they just haven't implemented all of them.
That's definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you are an accomplishment person who says, well, I need to have on one account, I need to at least have everything. And there are some sprays and some achievements that I don't have, including some of the Capture the Flag sprays. I think I've played maybe 2 to 3 games of Capture the Flag, and there are some things that I just don't have any interest in getting. And this is one of those really strange feelings when you say to yourself, well, if some of this stuff might be going away, maybe I should make a list, pull up WordPad, make a list of all the things I don't have, and maybe work on it.
The filter system in the game is actually pretty useful for figuring out what you don't have, since you can filter by unowned items and by seasonal event. So you can very quickly get it list that way, although it filters it in the traditional hero gallery view, so hero by hero. It would be helpful if it did it in the what's new view, where it just lists everything by type. That's something they could provide to us in Overwatch 2, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, this is exciting. It's nice to see that every, give or take every week, we're getting some information. And this is definitely the information about it's been 1 year since recall. The Overwatch story length is not set yet, which, they are still working on it. And really the overall logistics about how much effort and work goes into just getting the things that we take for granted, like the loot boxes. How are they going to implement those? What are they going to do moving forward? Pretty cool, and it's exciting. That's Overwatch 2. Sounds like it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, I believe that's everything we have. Well, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure, Mr. Tree Boy Dave.
Yeah, no problem.
And enjoy that wonderful EU weather.
It's raining.
It's raining? Oh, well. Thank you again, sir, for inviting me.
No problem.
You have a wonderful day.
You too.
So thanks for watching Overgrove Episode 3. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to share it with people you know who might enjoy it also. It helps me muchly. If you have any feedback, please leave it down below in the comments, or come by either Boss's stream or my own stream and let us know live. We'll be happy to discuss anything we talked about today with you at any time. I'll be leaving the links in the description below to the articles we discussed today, as well as all our social media links. So be sure to check that if you wish to read more, or watch the video of Jeff with his interview if you wish. See you next time.